Welcome to the Uniquely Healthy podcast. I'm your host, Maryannauger, or you can call me Marianne. I'm a weight-inclusive, anti-diet certified personal trainer, online coach, fitness instructor, and nutrition coach. I want to help you find your unique way of being healthy through self-care and by incorporating healthy habits. I hope this podcast episode helps you become uniquely healthy. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking to Shelbey Osborne. So Shelbey is a yoga teacher in training. She's passionate about yoga and astrology and uses these teachings to help individuals connect deeper to their own intuition. She's also an advocate for body acceptance and applying a self-compassionate approach to all areas of our lives. So in today's episode, Shelbey's going to talk about her experience with a multi-level marketing company, so MLM, and how it affected her relationship with her body, exercise, and food. So let's talk to Shelbey. Hi, Shelbey. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for asking me, Marianne. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So how about we start with you telling us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so I was I don't even know where to start, but like most women, unfortunately, and more men, I was pretty unhappy with my body growing up. Always felt like it was wrong and that I needed to change it. It wasn't until though I was out of high school or near the end of high school that I started playing around with diets. I think even though I always felt like my body was wrong, I didn't know that there was so-called a way to actually try and change it. So I started playing around with diets out of high school, and then that's when I found a multi-level marketing company that sold shakes and workout programs that I decided to be a part of. And through doing one of those programs, I ended up losing a lot of weight. And it was the first time in my life I had ever lost a lot of weight. So it was super exciting for me. But it became obsessive really quickly, where I lost this big chunk of weight, which a lot of people have a similar story the first time they dive into something, because your body's like, whoa, what the hell's happening? And so I did lose a lot of weight. And then it was constantly a game of like trying to catch up with myself again and trying to get back to that place and really yo-yoing a lot. So I spent some time in that company. Then I left that company and I just was kind of doing my own thing, still chasing weight loss. And I eventually came back to that company and I tried really hard to do it again the second time. And I think it was this whole idea of working from home and the accountability of staying healthy. I felt like if I work for this company, then I'll be held accountable and then I'll actually do it. So it was kind of a way to force myself to like take care of myself. And then skip forward, that kind of turned into a binge eating disorder near the end of it. Started seeking out help for that, and then that's when I came across this idea of intuitive eating and health at every size, and diving into that really has changed my whole relationship with my body, and I no longer feel like I need to change it or that it's wrong the way it is.
Yay! So you said you joined an MLM company, so a multi-level marketing company. Can you explain what that is and how they're run a little bit?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people hear this term pyramid scheme, and I actually listened to this podcast that is so good. If anybody wants to check it out, it's called The Dream, I'm pretty sure, and it talks all about multi-level marketing companies. And so pretty much how it works is that you sign on and you're underneath someone. So it's constantly these teams, and then you're supposed to sign on to people, one person on your left side, one person on your right side. So it's like you're building a pyramid, and that's why I see why people call it a pyramid scheme. I did learn in that podcast what the difference is, and the difference is that like why MLMs are legal compared to pyramid schemes is that there's actually a product or a service involved, where a pyramid scheme used to be like, okay, you give $500, then you get two more people to give $500, and at the end, the person at the top is getting cashed out a bunch of money. So yes, it's different because they're actually selling workout programs and they're selling shakes or whatever the MLM is. But it's still set up in a way where you have to recruit people. You don't technically have to recruit people, but there's a big incentive to do so because that's where you get all your money from. You can sell the services and the product and you get a little commission, but you get a big chunk of commission if you recruit people and then you make money off of what they're selling. So the whole idea is to kind of build this team, I guess you could say. And I guess another way to explain it is that it's like individual reps and they're usually run online. A lot of times it's seen as your own business, which we could dive into a little bit too, but so it's kind of like you're running your own business. You have to do your taxes. You have to account for all of that, but you're selling somebody else's service or product.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you touched on the difference between MLM and pyramid scheme because I actually didn't really know the difference. So I'm really glad you touched into that. How does it work with products? Do you need to buy the products and then buy a bunch of products and then you distribute them? And did you get any training to kind of help you manage with that kind of business aspect of it?
Yeah, so I've actually worked for quite a few MLMs. I think I really had that little entrepreneur drive as a young kid, and so I was really drawn into these ideas. So it depends. I was with a company that you did need to buy the product. The one that I was with for fitness stuff was you didn't need to buy the product, so that's kind of a selling point, I guess, for this MLM is that you don't have to keep anything on stock, so you don't have to buy things up front. You're just selling it to other people and then getting commission off of it. And then, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Did you get any training to help you kind of deal with the business part?
So you got training on how to sell. But one thing that I really ran into was there was no training on tracking your investment. So as a new eager person in this company, you're like, oh, I need the shakes and I need the pre-workouts and I need all the workout programs so that I can sell them to people. And so you spend a lot of money, but then there's no really training on okay, well, how much are you spending compared to how much you're making? And then what kind of return on investment are you actually making? So when one of the deciding factors that made me walk away from the company was when I actually went to do my taxes. I was like, holy crap, I have spent thousands of dollars, including going to retreats and things like that. And I've made little money, but no. And I think a lot of times online, they teach you to talk about how much money you're making and to make it seem like that's a great aspect of it when that just wasn't a reality, even though that's what I was sharing online. Oh, I made this much money. It gets to help me with the things in my life that I want. You're taught to really spin everything in a really positive light when was not really the reality for me anyways.
Okay, and I did hear that there's a lot of people that are in MLMs that their training isn't necessarily about fitness or nutrition, if their MLM company is about that, but they get a lot of training on selling and how you portray yourself online. Is that kind of what you experience? It seems like it, but
100%. I would say everything I've learned from those companies was how to sell online and how to do social media. And of course that's changed since I was originally with that company quite a while ago now, maybe 10 years ago is when I first started. So Instagram was pretty new. And so selling online was different, but definitely was taught to do cold messaging because that used to be how everything was done. And I see a lot of MLMs still doing that. And yeah, you're not taught anything about fitness. You're not even encouraged to go get a nutrition degree. I actually ended up signing up and getting a nutrition degree because I felt like that piece was lacking. And I'm supposed to be helping people with this. But no, the whole idea is sell their products and their products will teach people that. So their products come with the nutrition advice and the workout advice. And your job is to just sell that.
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. And I guess speaking of diets and the fitness and nutrition part, it seems from the outside when I look at MLM companies that there's a big pressure on following those diets and doing the workouts if the company involves workouts and stuff. And how is that for you?
Yeah, I would say I put so much pressure on myself. That's probably the most like shame cycle part of my life that I've ever been in. I wanted so badly to make this business work because I had invested so much money in it. Like I said, I had went to Nashville. I had done all these retreat things. I had put so much of my, not just money, but also my energy. I had not hung out with friends because I was like, I need to catch up on my messages. I need to work on my business. So for me, I really wanted it to work. And so I felt, and I don't know if the company ever put this on me or if it was the messages that I internalized, but I felt like, how am I going to sell this workout program if I'm not a direct result that it works? And so when I would do these workout programs that were 30 or 60 days, and then I wasn't perfect, quote unquote perfect, or I didn't follow the workout, because most of them are 7 days a week. I would say some of them are 5 days a week, but they're quite intense. So you're working out all the time. You're following the diet. Every single one of the programs came with a diet. And so when I wasn't doing that perfectly, I would just beat on myself so badly. I'd be embarrassed to share. I just didn't feel like, why would anyone trust me when I can't even get this to work? And of course, instead of blaming the program or blaming the system, I blamed myself. And I thought I wasn't good enough.
Typical of diet culture, making
Totally.
you believe that you're the failure instead of the product.
Yeah.
Was there a pressure to look a certain way? Did you find that there was that kind of pressure?
Yeah, and I think this goes with anybody, and I know you can probably attest to this too, but anybody in the wellness kind of world. Um, and again, like, I don't know if this is really said to us or if it's something we internalize based off the messages, but we feel like if I'm going to be teaching people how to be fit, I need to be fit. If I'm going to be teaching people how to eat healthy, I need to be eating perfect. And we don't see people really in bigger bodies we're seeing more of it, obviously, which is amazing. But for the most part, we don't see people in bigger bodies that are in these sort of roles and successful in those sort of roles.
Yeah, and I think as well, I know that the image that we're shown as being fit and being healthy is like that thin, toned, like muscular shape. And we don't see, and like you said, we do see a little bit more now, but people in bigger bodies. And I think when looking at some of the advertisements for those MLM companies and all the before and after pictures they're posting, well, it's always, this thin muscular body is the body, it's always the same like body type. Like, it's like, this is the healthy body. This is the body we should aspire to. And I think we need more diversity, and it's really good because we are seeing more of it, although we do need to work a little bit more on that as well.
Totally agree. And also, even though we are seeing it, a lot of those people are still getting a lot of hate. The people who are like, hey, I am in a bigger body and I am working on my fitness and I am strong, and we're seeing a lot of praise for them, but they're also still getting like so much hateful messages. So there's still so much work that needs to be done. And I totally agree with you on, it was kind of one size image. For a while, I tried to keep the workout programs because I was like, oh, but these are good workout programs. And then every time I'd throw them in, the language that was being used, I was like, I never noticed this when I was doing it, but it's all about like, look like this person. And they point to one of the people in the video. And it's like, if you want tight abs like her, like, stay down, do 5 more or whatever. It was such a no pain, no gain kind of attitude.
Oh yeah, my like least favorite sentence ever, like no pain, no gain. And I find it's like in a lot of like workout videos, whether they're in MLM or like just out there, it's all about looking a certain way instead of moving because it's healthy and it makes you feel good and all those things, so I can definitely see how those companies kind of, because the whole selling point from what I understand is follow this program, drink these shakes, do these workouts, and look this way in order
and
to
look
be
like me.
healthy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. So you did mention earlier that you struggled with binge eating disorder. did you struggle with that before the MLMs, during, after? Can you like kind of explain how that affected you and a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I never knew that that was something that I struggled with as a kid, but looking back after I've done this work and really reflecting, I can see that I had binge eating tendencies from a really young age. I remember one of the things my mom saying to me was always like, "You've had enough." And just like my little inner rebel was like, "Screw you. Like, I'm going to have 3 more plates just because you said that."
Yeah.
So I see it as a kid, but it didn't really get out of control until I was constantly like starting a new diet on Monday, starting a new diet. Wasn't a new diet. I was starting the same diet that was with these programs, that was generally the same all the time, one of those container diets. I was restarting it almost every day. So pretty much my cycle was wake up, work out, make my little perfect lunch, go to work, eat my perfect, quote unquote, perfect meals that fit into these little containers, come home, and then binge. And it was like I couldn't not eat like everything in my house. I felt out of control, and that's for those who struggle with binge eating. It is this kind of out of control, almost like blackout kind of feeling that you just can't stop eating. And it got to a point that it was daily, and I was using the workouts to try and counteract the binge each morning. And then I was felt really good about myself, and I was on top of the world during the day because I was eating perfect. Again, not actually perfect, but that's how I felt. And then, yeah, and then I fell into this cycle every night. So I think that the pressure to follow these programs so well made me go into a darker place with binge eating. Yeah, to a point where it became like daily. And I know I take responsibility for my own actions, but I think that trying to keep up with these programs and trying to show that I was a weight loss success over and over again, because I felt like that's the only way I could have a successful business, really played a role into it.
Yeah, I definitely relate to your experience with like binge eating tendencies. And I don't know if it was the same for you, but for me, it felt like when I had, let's say, my first like binge episode, there could have been like a few weeks in between. And then after the second, it was like less weeks and then less days. And then it turned out to be like an everyday thing. And it was definitely driven by trying to eat quote unquote perfect, like you said, which I guess would be like people would say clean right now, and not eating enough because we're told that, you know, we shouldn't eat a certain amount of food, and then obviously your body wants food, and then, you know, there goes the cycle.
Yeah, and I will say a big part of it for me too was the shame. I didn't tell anyone about my binges. I usually did it. I lived by myself, and so I usually did it when I was by myself. If my boyfriend was over, it usually didn't happen. So there was a lot of shame, and a big part of breaking out of that cycle was talking to people about it. And even though that was super uncomfortable for me, I realized actually how normal it is. And like you said, like whether it be every few weeks or whether it be a nightly thing, I think so many people actually can relate to that experience, especially when we're depriving ourselves.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared that, because I hope that anyone that's listening right now, if they do struggle with that, that, you know, just know that you're not alone. And if you need help, I'll try to leave some resources in the description box so you can look that up if you need to talk to someone to help you with that. So, you said that MLM companies are big on telling you that you can kind of make it your own business and make it your own. And were you able to do that?
Yeah, so they really do sell this idea to you that, and that's why I love the fact that that podcast was called The Dream. I definitely highly recommend anyone checking it out who wants to dive into this more, but because you're being sold this dream that whatever your dream is, like we all kind of can think about how would an online business work for us? Oh, well, I'd get to stay at home with my kids. Oh, I'd get to travel around and work from anywhere. Like we all kind of have these ideas of why it would be so flexible and make our lives so much better. So I think all MLMs benefit off of selling this idea to us. And then they also make you believe that it's your business. So I actually came back to this MLM for a third time after I had done some work around intuitive eating. And I was like, you know what? No, because I was still sold by this dream. I think I still am even a little bit because I do my own little entrepreneur online stuff. But I was still kind of duped by believing that I could make it work. And so I was like, I'm just going to come to this business from a self-love place. And I'm just going to share how you don't have to work out if you don't want to, and the programs are just there to help you. But I realized how hard that was when people are buying a program that literally tells them they need to work out 7 days a week, tells them what they are and are allowed to eat. So even if I'm saying, no, you don't have to listen to that, but the products I'm selling to people say that, and the overall messaging of the company says that, it's really counterintuitive. And I've come across this a few times where I have people who want to work with me that are part of this company, and they're like, oh, could you maybe write a little self-love thing for me? And part of me is like, yeah, I think everyone needs more self-love. But then I also come back to, I don't want to be supporting a company whose overall message is that. So I think we need to be thinking about, if we don't align with that company, why are we trying to manipulate it to make it work for us instead of finding something that we do completely align with?
Yeah. And I think, well, this has happened to me, is that my in-between period, like between dieting and, being restrictive and all that stuff, and learning about intuitive eating and health at every size and the anti-diet movement and all that stuff, there's like that in-between moment where you're like you have like one foot in the diet world and you have one foot in the like intuitive eating world, and then you're kind of confused and your messages are like somewhat confusing. I like reread posts that I used to post like a couple years ago, and I'm just like, oh, I was so close, but I was totally not there. Like, did you kind of experience that?
Oh my gosh, 100%. And like, it'll be funny, even posts from when I was still in the MLM, I can see that like I so badly was trying to be a better person, was trying to help people be a better person. Like, there's so many posts that I wrote that are just so positive and like really trying to inspire someone. I even like did write posts about like my belly and stuff and how it's okay to have a belly. But then there's other posts that are just so cringe. So you can see kind of this like contrasting of like really wanting to love and accept myself, but also feeling like the only way that I could do that was by changing myself. And yeah, I definitely can resonate with seeing posts from memories that have some little good golden nuggets in them, but also a lot of harmful messages in them as well.
I relate to that so much. And sometimes I just have to stop myself from looking at old posts because I'm like, no, it's not,
yeah,
not
I just
good.
want to delete them.
I know. I'm still debating that because I'm like, I kind of want to leave them in the sense that it's part of the journey, right? And I don't want to delete that part of the journey, just to say that, I didn't just end up at this point. But also I know that the old posts can be harmful. So it's really that like, I'm still debating.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I think I deleted some and then I deleted some to remind me. And when you said that too, it made me think that like, even though there was a lot of negative things that came out of me being in the MLM, I think there was a lot of positive things too that I just wanted to touch on, where like the idea of being a community, I think that is also what draws in a lot of people. It's like, okay, you just have to join us and then we'll provide the training for you. You're going to have a team of people who are like cheering you on. But then the downside of that too is that a lot of people have noticed as soon as they leave the MLM or decide it's not for them, they're just completely cut, which makes it feel like, was that really a community for me or was it just about selling? Another thing was personal development. I was never a personal development person. And then being in these MLMs, they were like really driving that. And that's honestly changed my life. I still am really into personal development and just doing things to make myself better. But I think maybe that's shifted on what I consider personal development compared to what I did at the time. But yeah, I can see how there's some positive things that come out of MLMs. But for me, I think we need more of us kind of trusting in ourselves and not feeling like we need other people's products and services unless, like I said, they feel 100% aligned.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you talked about like the positive sides, because like I feel like it's always important in any like situation to talk about both sides of the medal. So nothing is always all bad or all good. So I think it's really nice that you did talk about the positive. Is there anything that you wish you could have told your younger self when you were joining these companies?
Um, One thing that became apparent to me after I left MLMs was that, and this is why I'll never join another MLM, is that it's very much like I don't want to say the younger, but like the newbies, the recruits are the people who are really funding everything. So you have these people that are way up high and they're making money because they have this whole trickle of team below them. And these are the people that are paying, like, I don't know, they're paying a lot more money because they're getting like a starter kit to get started with the business. And then they're struggling to make it by because they haven't had their training yet and they're just kind of learning everything. But they're usually investing quite a bit. And I feel like when you really look at the companies, such a small percentage make it to the top, but they really sell you this idea that anybody can do it. And of course, I get it, anybody can do it, but they make it seem so much more realistic than it is. And I just wish that I would have trusted in myself more. And I still could probably give myself this advice to trust in myself more instead of constantly reaching for external things to make me feel like I'm good enough or that I can reach success, or yeah, not trusting in like the own wisdom that I already have and feeling like somebody has to teach me that or somebody has to show me, instead of just trusting like myself and that I do know what to do.
Yeah, and that you can kind of do your own thing, and you don't, like you said, you
Mhm.
don't have to rely on someone else's product. You can be your own thing and do your own thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Which there's so many more people doing that now and I love it.
That's true. There's a lot of people kind of just doing their own thing, and I feel like we need more of that because everyone's story is so important, right? And everyone has something to offer. And I love that with the internet now. Obviously, there's a lot of downsides to the internet, but there's also a lot of positives, like you can start a business online and do your own thing.
Totally.
And speaking of doing your own thing, do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what you do now?
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I'm taking my yoga teacher training right now. And so because I've done so much work around body acceptance, I would like to kind of tie that piece into yoga trainings. And then I've also been really interested in astrology and like the moon. So I've been running little full moon workshops, and like I just started doing a new moon intention setting circle. So as I try to follow the moon myself and take, I guess, kind of plan my life around it, or use the energies of the moon to kind of pick up the pieces that resonate with me. I love the idea of, as I learn, I can teach to others because it helps me learn more. So I don't feel like I'm an expert in the moon by any means, but I am enjoying learning about it and learning about it with a group and like a collective and doing it together. So that's pretty much what I've been up to right now, is finishing my yoga teacher training and kind of tying in pieces of body acceptance and the moon and astrology into that.
I love it. Every time you post something on either Facebook or Instagram, I'm always like, yes. And I always have to share it because I just love everything you talk about. And I don't know much about astrology, and I'm totally new to that whole thing, but you're teaching me some stuff, and I just love it. And I'm so glad we connected online. I guess we didn't really touch on how we met and stuff, but we just connected on Facebook. Like, how long ago? That was like quite a while.
I
Like,
want to say at least 2 years.
yeah, 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And we've just connected, and I love seeing how we're both like evolving, because I feel like I like to do a lot of like self-work and a lot of self-reflection and stuff like that too. So it's really interesting to see, you know, all these friends you make online and see how like we started there and then now we're here. It almost sounds like the lyrics of a song, but anyways. So yeah, I love your stuff so much and I would love to collaborate with you on more things.
Yes.
I just, yeah, like I said, I love the things you do. And for those who are interested in finding you and doing all that stuff, I will leave all the information in the description box, but do you want to just share where people can find you?
Yeah, I am on Instagram at Moved by the Stars, and then I also have a Facebook community that's also called Moved by the Stars on Facebook.
Awesome. So like I said, I'll put those in the description box. And I just want to give you like a big thank you for coming on and talking about your story with MLM companies. And I love you so much and I'm glad you are here.
Thank you. I love you too. I'm also so happy that we connected and I love seeing your journey and being on this journey with you.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please give it a 5 stars on iTunes. It'll really help me out. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for when I upload more videos and more podcast episodes. And if you want to support the free content that I post online, you can join my Patreon. I have the first tier is all about supporting me. It's like $2 per month. And then I have 2 other tiers. So one is where I share workout every week and some journaling prompts and affirmations and stuff. And then the third tier, is all about getting more accountability. So I help you by responding to some of the questions you have. I help you with accountability and support, and you also get the workout as well. Thank you so much for your support. I love you so much, and I'll see you in a future episode. Bye.